So I was debating what to call this video, but really I think the title is just going to be the best core exercise. And the reason why I say that is because of all the different exercises in regards to the core. This is not going to be with anything with the aesthetic muscles, because I think if most of you guys hopefully know at this point, those muscles really get trained in a number of ways, pretty much more or less through your diet, and you could say your lifestyle too. Genetics obviously play a role with that. And other exercises that you guys do that just will inadvertently train those areas. But the best core exercise that I think, and we think of the core, we think of anything that really attaches to the hip, essentially can be really constitute a core muscle. But if you ever get injured or you're looking online for like back pain relief or something like that, inevitably you'll hear articles talking about, well, you got to strengthen your core. And the last thing you really want to do is do what most people think of as a core exercise, and that's the abdominal trunk. And in some ways, you could almost argue, the plank's an awesome exercise. I wouldn't say anything against the plank, but even the plank kind of really works at anterior side. And the exercise that I think really should get more of a precedence and more hype over a traditional plank is definitely the prone cobra. And I'm going to show you guys that exercise in a second. And there is kind of a right and wrong way to do that exercise. But most importantly, before I show you guys that exercise, I want to explain why I think that's the best exercise. Best core exercise. And really, no matter what your sport is, I don't care, you can name really any sport, but predominantly most sports, even activities or our daily lifestyles are really going in this, working our anterior side of our body. And especially if you're sitting down throughout the day and just modern day civilization, we spend a lot of our time, sitting down in chairs or just sitting in general. And the muscles that really are getting kind of lengthened, so to speak, are the ones that are kind of, just not getting as much attention, are all those posterior side muscles. So the muscles in our lower back, even our glutes, they essentially start to atrophy, and that's what causes a lot of pain in the lower back and things like that. I can name really any sport. Even if you're thinking of, running, for instance, a lot of people have complained of lower back pain through running, and I can't think of one of the, if I said, really, I don't care what sport you're in, this is probably the #1 exercise I recommend to really everybody do, if you can, on a daily basis. So what this really does is kind of the reverse of a plank. You're just going to lay down flat in the surface. We're not going to think of it as a traditional Superman where you're lifting your legs on the ground. That's why I'm not showing you guys that. I'm just going to lay flat on my stomach. I'm going to, most importantly, make sure you guys can't see it in the video, but I want to make sure my butt is squeezed as much as I can. And then I'm going to take my hands and make kind of like a V in this position. And what you also, I'm going to scoot up a little bit here. What you can kind of maybe see right now is that this hand is what's called supinated, or making kind of a thumbs up. We don't want that thumb to essentially go down, because when we do that, our shoulder blades start protracting forward, and that just encourages that bad posture that we have throughout the day, and works the muscles that are already essentially kind of tight. So we want to take the hands, supinate them out this way, so by doing that, it works those muscles that are more or less weak in majority of us sitting down these kind of like desk type jobs, and works that posterior side muscles that again are also atrophying or not getting worked for doing activities such as running or weightlifting traditionally, or people ignore this backside. So jumping right into it, you're going to make sure the hands are up like this. I'm squeezing the butt. I'm not even going to worry about my feet at this point. You could lift your feet up on the ground, but you want to make sure your butt is squeezed, because if it's not, if you guys were to try this, if you relax your butt, all of a sudden now that pressure goes into your lower back and you're kind of hinging in this position. But once the butt is squeezed, I want to get as high as I can. I want the head to just stay in neutral. I don't want to look up in the air. Obviously, I don't want to look down. And I want to hold this position kind of to a point where you start to kind of feel some sort of fatigue. Once you get to the point where your hands are really shivering and shaking like that, that's kind of a good sign. If it feels too easy, some people say, oh, this is easy. Usually it's because, well, a number of things, but one of the things is either glutes aren't squeezed, they're not up high enough, maybe they're just like right about here. Those are probably the two main things, to be honest with you. Make sure you're getting as high as you can. And I tell people to really try and hold that for about maybe work up to like a 3-minute hold. And you don't have to go crazy with it, but this is something you could do really every day. It's good to do it at the end of a workout, not necessarily before it, because just like the same reason you wouldn't want to do like planks and everything like that before a workout, usually you're going to use those muscles, obviously, hopefully during your activity of choice. This is also a great exercise you could do if you have like a space that's, comfortable for like in your office, where like you just can lay down somewhere and just go and bust it out and do this. Obviously, it depends on your office situation, if you can shut the door or whatever. And if there's any exercise throughout the day that you're watching TV, what's something I can do that'll benefit me, give myself a little break in the day, this is definitely one of the top exercises. And everyone that I talk to that either has nagging little low back pain or some little back just feels a little uncomfortable, I always say, try this prone cobra exercise, work up to that 3-minute hold, and try and do it on a continual basis. And what these muscles are working, again, are the glutes, your lower back, even your upper part of your shoulders, your rhomboids, your traps, your posterior deltoids. And you can see just me sitting down like this, when we're all more or less sitting in our desk job, these are the muscles that are getting lengthened out that really need the attention, not the crunch. Because you can see, even if I'm sitting like this, what does a crunch do? It's just going to perpetuate and encourage this type of posture and this type of habit. So obviously if you can strengthen up that posterior side, it improves your posture, and those are the muscles, again, we want to keep focusing on. So hopefully this was helpful. Definitely make this a part of your fitness routine. At the very least, if you can't do it every day, at least try and get it in 3 times a week, because even that little bit will make a big difference.